Oh, so
We've got a few different comms online, like you.
So a very good evening, warm welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the SimGrid stream, presenting another night of madness here on behalf of Coach Dave Academy. It's another Monday night iRacing event. This time we are heading over to the sunny shores of Charlotte Motor Speedway, South Concord, North Carolina, for the GT3's at Charlotte Roval 70. 70 laps of madness on the 2018 Roval circuit. It's David Christie joining me in the commentary box tonight. Steve Proudley. Steve, welcome along to your first taste of the Coach Dave Academy madness here on iRacing. The Roval, it's going to be a formidable challenge tonight for these GT3 cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 70 laps, it's a challenge in itself, isn't it? But the Roval throws up its own challenges with that little bit of an infield section and that mighty fast chicane on the back straight there. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the guys handle this. And just looking at some of the practice times, we've got a little bit of variation in pace, but we've got some pretty quick guys in there as well.
Absolutely. Just looking at the track map there, you can see the two chicanes that we're talking about, turns 11 and 12 at the bottom there. That is very fast indeed. Then you've got turn 15, 16 and 17. I think that is going to be the centre of a lot of our attention in not a good way tonight whatsoever. Qualifying is just about to get underway very shortly, and quite a decent turnout for the race tonight. 18 cars that we've got going out on track, and in fact already in our 15-minute qualifying. Now, these fun events, these light-hearted community events for the Coach Dave Academy community are completely open to the public. You can literally just rock up. All you have to do is head over to the Coach Dave Academy Discord. So head over to coachdaveacademy.com and then hit the Discord button, jump in, and you'll be able to join us next week for the next event. But a lot of names, Steve, jumping back in, and obviously with your first time here for the Monday night events, a lot to bring it up to speed on. And of course, these are standalone events, so it's not a championship. It's all just for the bants, as we would say. But a lot of the names coming back time and time again, the likes of Gergely Kunsabo, Florian Durkop, Kieran Sharp, Matthew Davis, all coming back for multiple events. It's just great to see these nights where you can kind of let your hair down, because there's a lot of serious championships and it's almost few and far between that you get a decent turnout for a fun event like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these fun events are a great way to get a taste of the community for guys that have just joined the SimGrid, you know, and get out there and build on the iRacing community. What a fantastic addition to the SimGrid portfolio is iRacing, you know, because it is a great sim, and then we're going to see some good action around here. I mean, I have to confess, I've only driven the Skippy around this track and I struggled, and I think we're going to see during the race with the chicanes and with the infield, I think we might see a few slowdown penalties tonight. But yeah, fantastic fun race tonight, I think, in store, and great for people to see people coming back, as you say there, and it's going to be good for me to get my head round and who's who on track tonight, and see who's setting the track alight with some of the fast times. I just see Florian has just gone round in a 1:10.6 on the practice timing boards at the minute, so he's going to be up there I think towards the end of qualifying, maybe a time to beat. I'm not sure, will they get any faster than the 1:10s, David?
I hope not, because I think Michael Hamlet, who is in the Discord channel with us, is actually taking part tonight, as 1:10 got set in practice. I could hear just this flurry of profanities getting ushered down the mic there, so I'm presuming that's a very good time indeed. I think 1:12 is probably going to be about the average. Florian Durkop, one of the faster drivers that we've got on here. Just to give you an idea, Maximilian Walmuth, I mean, he was in our BMW week, with GT3's at Sebring, on the final lap, just to bring you up to speed on this, on the final lap he went from second place, fired up the inside at Sunset Bend, and actually took the win in the brand new BMW M4. It was something to behold, and it's actually been incredibly clean racing for, as we said, a fun series open to all skill levels. We've enjoyed actually some of the better racing than we've seen elsewhere, but obviously, Steve, you're no stranger to GT3 racing, having done a lot of commentary on the likes of Assetto Corsa Competizione, and from your experience here tonight on iRacing, I mean, how do you think, or what do you think it's got to go for iRacing to compete with Assetto Corsa Competizione?
I think it's like any sim, isn't it? It's just about consistency, about feel, about its personal taste, personal preference. I think, you know, there's no real. It's hard to say how they're going to compete with each other, because I think they're just two very, very polished standalone sims now. And you know, iRacing, it's a great package in itself. Bringing, you know, it allows us to produce these fantastic broadcast images that Mike Yao is bringing us right now to talk about and to show and share with everybody. For me, I think it's the variation of circuits that you've got with iRacing over ACC that makes it maybe a little bit more attractive for someone who wants to race on circuits like this. And this, it has to be said, just going to the circuit at the moment, the setup, there's got to be a couple of options on the setup here tonight, David, for obviously the very low downforce that's going to make the infield tricky, or you go for a slightly higher downforce, a little bit more grip to get through the infield better, but then we may see you hung out to dry on this straight. So it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers have done regarding that, and if we do see any large differences in the approach to setting the car up round here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Setup is going to be a huge thing. Seeing 4 cars within 1 second already, and I don't like to think of myself as a shallow person, but my God, that is a beautiful livery on Maximilian Wolmuth's car there. That was almost like one of those foil stickers you'd get for your little football magazine. And of course, I've now just completely confused half of the audience, I think, now. We're probably, Steve, going to be too young to even remember what football sticker albums are. But qualifying underway then, Maximilian Wolmuth takes up the charge then to take pole position, but the time's coming in thick and fast now. Masek Haila taking second position, just 0.3 of a second behind. That means now Florian Durkop relegated down to third place, where we thought that was going to be an incredible time, but I'm wondering if the track conditions have changed here, because Michael Hamlet was able to do, I think it was 1:12.5 during the free practice. He's now down to a 1:11.5, so that is a fairly decent improvement for Michael Hamlet. Keeps himself well and truly in contention, and he's got a lot of big names around about him. Sebastian Posma, Alexander Posma, Korstian Plaz, all in amongst him as well. And for those who are unfamiliar with iRacing, these are some very well-versed esports contenders that are out there having a little bit of a laugh, the likes of Kieran Sharp and Florian Durkop. We've seen them in a lot of the big-name championships and competitions, and you know, obviously we're doing the Coach Dave Academy event tonight, but we've got to say, I mean, it's been a big event, a big weekend rather, Steve, for sim racing and sim racing esports. VCO hosting their very first esports racing World Cup, and I've got to say, I mean, that was a pretty spectacular milestone for the sim racing world, and it does feel like a bit of a corner being turned now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, with the sim racing world, it's just growing and growing, isn't it? And every weekend almost, there's something going on somewhere that you want to be involved in. There's big events, not just in iRacing, not just on ACC, but there are big events. You know, we've got all the sims are developing. They're all bringing the best development they can to all the sims we see in rFactor 2, getting upgrades and things like that now. And you know, it's great to see, and the bar is just being pushed higher and higher with the sims, with the events, with the broadcast productions, you know, and the drivers, the professional drivers getting involved now, you know, the big teams that we see on track sometimes, and it's just absolutely fantastic to be part of it, and absolutely awesome to see some of the drivers out on track, and those times out there now, David, look how close they are. I mean, Mr. Hamlet there, he's just jumped up to 6th place. Well done, Michael, great stuff. Hopefully you've got some consistency for the race and you're not just going to bin it, but you know, it's for the viewers at home, as David said, we have got Michael in the chat with us, so just a little bit of backhanded teasing there, but we could just trying to keep him on his toes.
You've obviously watched Michael Hamlet in previous races, haven't you? Again, as that was the BMW coming across the line. Get an idea on who that was just now. I'm going to throw you under the bus here, Steve, in the first of many times tonight. On the GT3, the outing, as we see is that the Z4, Z3? Yeah, the Z4. That's the proper old school BMW outing. That's very similar in shape and style to the McLaren. But anyway, Steve, back to the question I was going to give you. If you could pick any car to be out there on the circuit tonight with, what would it be?
Oh my word! I don't know, to be fair. I mean, I think I do have a soft spot for the BMWs. I quite like the styling of them. It's nothing to do with how they drive. I just think they're a classic, to be honest, and they look great. So potentially, just because it's a fun race, because it's not a championship, and you can sort of just pick anything, have a bit of fun with it, I'd probably pick something that I wouldn't normally pick to run a season with, and it might well be that BMW, to be honest.
That's a good shout, actually. I've really fallen in love with the brand new BMW M4 myself. It's unfortunately it's a bit of a safe car for people to jump into, and that's exactly the reason that I do like it. Michael Hamlet been bumped down to 7th position as we see Sebastian Posma up into P4, and then immediately deposed from that position by Robert Jean de Jong, who moves up into 4th position. Now we have 10 cars within the top 10 cars within a second of the leaders. Such is the closeness of this, and here's me saying, oh, it's a fun race. I don't think there's anything fun about this qualifying at all. They're taking it very, very seriously indeed. So we see Just Loon making his way into pit lane, but again, 12 minutes just about to go in qualifying here, and in these fun races, it's an interesting point, is it? Because for many of these drivers, there is no such thing as a fun race. They still want to win, regardless if it actually means anything or not, Steve.
Yeah, I think you've very much got a few categories of sim drivers, and the category I fall into, because I am involved in commentary and broadcast now, I don't get to race as much as I used to. So when I take on a fun race like this, as I said earlier, I'm happy to take maybe the underdog car or something a little bit different, because I'm probably not going to win that race anyway. I'm not going to be on the podium, but I'm just out there to have fun. So I'll take the underdog. But then you've got the other guys who literally they're there to race, they're there to win. So we see these guys out there on the track tonight setting these amazing times. Yes, I think there's a couple of categories out there, and it's not so much a fun race for some of them. It's they are very much there to win tonight.
And on that note, one of the other differences that we'll notice tonight, likely if any of the other previous Coach David Academy races are anything to go by, the fact that yellow flags and safety cars are a possibility and a probability coming out tonight, backing the pack up and obviously changing the complexion of the race. So any gaps that are there, very likely to be squeezed back in, and given how tightly packed up this qualifying is, I can see that absolutely being a game changer for some of the situations tonight, as we see Matthew Davis getting the exit onto the oval a little bit wrong there for Corblimey Racing, and that side of that Audi just straight into the wall. That's not going to do the top line speed of that thing any good whatsoever. But again, with qualifying nearly done and dusted, you see, oh my God, that was just straight over the curb on the inside there. And I get the feeling, Steve, that is not going to be the last time that we are going to see a car doing some acrobatics here at the Charlotte Roval.
No, as I said, it's the chicanes take some commitment, but with commitment, you've got to be so precise. You can't be pushing too hard, because if you've pushed that front end and you're offline and you're fully committed, we saw him earlier on just brush the wall, and then we saw him just totally take too much curb there, airborne. No contact with the tarmac, and you're just going into the wall at that point. So yeah, I think we're going to see a few incidents like that as the field battles and charges through. There's a lot of them are going to be taking those curbs to try and maximise the run onto the straights and onto the banked corners. But yeah, just back to my point right at the beginning where I said we had a bit of a variation on pace. How wrong was I? They've all got pretty close to each other now, and it's looking like we could have a fairly tight field, and we certainly will, I think, have some good battles up and down the field. I think wherever you are, I think you can have a busy race.
I do agree with you 100%, but what I will point out is Maciej Kyla is now just taking pole position with a 110.031. That is outrageous pace, and that is an absolute shockwave. And literally says from Michael Hamlet, what? 2.1k, and he's on the top of the field just now. That is quite a turn up for the book, but yeah, 110.031. And again, Steve, from the protestations from Michael Hamlet in the background there, it just shows how fast that lap actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we didn't quite get to see him put that time in. It'd be interesting. I wonder if he had a toe at all on that lap. You know, that could make a big difference round here. Just getting a slipstream at some point, but who knows? You know, I mean, I think Michael Hamlet he's done pretty well in 8th place there. It's not bad. It's probably higher than we expected him to be.
Yeah, he certainly has. We can hear him blithering away in the background there. But here we are with Oscar Saristo. He's making his way through just now, and he has decided he is not going to be finishing this lap. So it does look like Maciej Kyla is going to take pole position from Florian Durkop in 2nd place. Now Florian sneaks up into 2nd place there, just ahead of Maximilian Walmuth then, who is in 3rd position. Robert Jean de Jong looks like he'll finish in 4th position. Sebastian Posma is in 5th, with Alexander Posma just getting up into 8th position. Kieran Sharp is going to be in 6th. Jens Kaiser in 7th, as I said. Alexander Posma in 8th. Michael Hamlet is going to finish qualifying in 9th position, so inside the top 10. Well done there. Corsi and Plaz in P10. 11th place is going to be Matthew Davis. 12th place for Ian Harvey. Rightus Balba in 13th. Oscar Saristo in 14th. Justlund in 15th, with Gergely Kunsabo in 16th. Lance Taylor in 17th, with Billy Hutchison in 18th position. Albert Breto is not done a lap. I'm not sure he's even actually connected to the server here. So 18 cars taking part in this race, and Steve, obviously a very fast circuit, cars struggling to get a fast lap in by themselves. How dangerous do you think this is going to be going into a race situation?
I think it's going to be very, very dangerous, and as you said, I think we may end up with a few incidents and a few safety cars out there to squeeze them back up as we just see the grid on the screen now. But yeah, I think it's going to be about trying to be calm and just get the first few laps out of the way. But let's see.
Let's see, indeed. Maciej Kyla then, as we said, in pole position, along with Florian Durkop on row 1. Row 2, Maximilian Walmuth with Robert Jean de Jong. Row 3 is Sebastian Posma with Kieran Sharp. Row 4 is Jens Kaiser and Alexander Posma. Row 5, Michael Hamlet and Corsi and Plaz. Row 6 is going to be Matthew Davis and Ian Harvey. Row 7 is going to be Rightus Balba and Oscar Saristo. Row 8, Justlund and Gergely Kunsabo. Row 9 is going to be Lance Taylor and Billy Hutchison. So the cars are going to be doing a rolling start. Obviously, it's going to be a shorter rolling start than maybe we're used to in the likes of ACC. They will start from the pretty much the sort of halfway point of the back end of the circuit through into the first chicane, I believe here. Although that does look like the second chicane that they're actually starting from, so it might be a full pace lap that they're getting here. But again, a wide mix of cars. Looks like Ferrari do have the upper hand here with the GT3's. The other thing is the damage model on these cars doesn't really come into play tonight, Steve, because the cars have all got unlimited fast repairs. So again, on a fun race, they can just pop the car into pit lane and get that repaired instantly.
Yeah, I mean, you've still got to think though. I think even with fast repairs, if the car's badly damaged enough to need towing to the garage, that penalises them, doesn't it? I think I'm right in saying, David, does it?
If they have to tow the car back to pits, then that'll be a time penalty. Or well, it's like it takes time for them to go. But other than that, usually if it's a bad crash, then there likely will be a yellow flag thrown. At which point they can lapped cars can unlap themselves as well. So I think there's a good chance that any issues like that will be neutralised. But we're watching all the cars making their way off there, and I think that might have been Gergely Kunsabo who was a little bit confused there with the start of this race, as they just go straight over the Toyota advertisement here in the middle of the circuit. But they'll work their way around, getting themselves round. 70 laps then here, Steve. What are going to be the key things that drivers have to look out for?
70 laps, it's a good length race really. I mean, it's all about falling into position and not trying to win the race in the first couple of corners, as we always say. It's about sort of, affirming your position in the field, assessing where you are once the green flag's gone and you've got a lap or two under your belt, and then really, attacking from there, working your way forward if you have to, or if you're lucky enough to be at the front, defending, trying to build a gap if you can at all. But it's going to be interesting to see. And there's going to be a variation of character out there tonight. There will be some drivers that want to try and win the race in the first corner. Let's see how it goes.
Well, that's certainly my strategy. Try and win it by turn one. If not, then you're pulling it out of the race. But that says more about me than anything else. Here we go then, as we see Maciej Hyla making the journey round onto the oval then for the first time, behind that safety car, behind the car that sets the pace, gets them all up on the straight and narrow before we get ready to go live for 70 laps here at Charlotte. And I'm going to presume that car is actually being driven right now because there's no lights on it, and we are just about set to go then. Florian Durkup on the outside in the Lamborghini. He is the only Lamborghini in the top 10 just now, as we see. In fact, he's the only Lamborghini I've just noticed in the race, so all the way up there into second position. It's the Ferraris everywhere else, and then Kieran Sharp is a wolf in sheep's clothing in that BMW right now. Him and Jens Kaiser up in the top 10 as well. But interestingly, I think that is both of the M4s that are up in the top 10, and the Z4s are outside of the top 10. I believe that is Gergely Kunsabo and Oscar Saristo, I think, that are in those Z4s. So we wait with bated breath then. The cars come round the final corner then, leading up to the final chicane before we get going here. The Lamborghini of Florian Durkup showing his impatience. He cannot wait for that car to go. Still absolutely loving that livery that is on the car of Maximilian Walmuth even. Just a reminder, if you are wanting to get yourself involved here, head over to CoachDaveAcademy.com, head over to Discord and get yourself involved for next week's race. But it looks like we are getting ready to go, and Hyla has already gone. The lights aren't even off, and that is a great start. But that might be because, of course, in iRacing the start is completely different. You get the green flag before the line actually comes, and you get to go. So Walmuth has got the jump on Florian Durkup there, who was caught napping, and so it's Walmuth straight up into second place. It looks like everybody survived the first couple of corners here, Steve, but it looks like Maciej Hyla absolutely away with it, got the jump and has already got a second of a gap.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he needed to do, isn't it? He needed to get that. He wants to get that gap because he wants to minimise any slipstream effects he's giving those guys behind, and those guys behind are going to be battling really hard. And I was really surprised that Durkup didn't get a better start, because he was the one that was hustling on the formation lap. We've just seen a battle there now. I think that's Bosma up a position there, and to making use of the lower edge of the corner there, and slipping underneath the car of the other S Bosma. Confusingly, two Bosmas.
Two Posmas, I'm going to presume that they're related, Alexander and Sebastian, and they've made short work of Kieran Sharp for OTL Racing. I do believe that is On The Limit Racing who are taking part tonight, as the leader already goes across the line to complete lap one. That gap now down half a second over Maximilian Walmuth there in first and second place, and Florian Durkup goes spinning on the entry into turn number 2, and that is a big disaster for Florian Durkup. Wonder if there's going to be any damage to that car. It doesn't look like there's too much damage there, apart from a little bit of rear aero damage there, and Sebastian Posma keeps things on the straight and narrow as well then. So there we go, we've got 3 into the pit lane already. Gurgly, Kuntabo, Oscar, Saristo and Just Loon, all victims into pit lane just now. They'll obviously be back out and looking for a yellow flag to fly just now. But wow, that was from hero to zero for third place man Florian Durkop in the space of half a second.
Yeah, and that's the risk on a circuit like this, where he's probably running low downforce, and then he was under braking, I think, onto the turn into the infield, and in the back end just stepped away from him. And that's the balancing act on this this type of circuit, where you've just really you've got that low downforce. It's a compromise, and you've got to be so careful. And he was just pushing too hard as well in these opening laps, maybe just not quite up to temperature with everything. As we've seen Oscar just having a bit of a sideways movement, and in the background, more interestingly, there was a bit of contact with the wall, and Oscar was going for a second spin there, not quite sure what was going on with him on the second time, but yeah, there was a bigger accident behind, I think, into the wall.
I think that was a bit of either a virtual oil slick here in iRacing, or they absolutely jumped over the corners there. There we go. And that is both the BMW. Absolutely huge crash there, and some avoidant action there from the 777 of Rightus Balba. So I don't think he actually did make contact there. Also, quick point of order here, Steve Proudley. Masek Hyla, your race leader, 110.73 on that first lap. Here's what happened though to Florian Durkop then in third place, and it's exactly as you said there, too early on the brakes there, and the car over rotates as it jumps over that curb on the inside there, and it puts it into the barrier at the back. Very minimal contact with the wall. There's the very lucky boy to get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely, but what pace from the leader, 1:10.7. His last lap now was back down to a 1:11, but great pace from him. The gaps maintaining between that half a second and a second consistently. It's all about the slipstream here, isn't it? I think that's what keeps pulling them back together, because I think he's got the outright pace over second place at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch that battle and watch that gap, and if any yellow flags are thrown, then the field will close right up together again, and the lap cars will be able to unlap themselves. But seeing some battles now further down. This is Kieran Sharp in 5th place, coming under pressure from Kaiser behind him in P6. Battle of the BMWs here, David, and very, very close, and they're not far behind P4.
It looks like we've already lost the car then. Matthew Davis shown us out of the race. We'll keep an eye if that is the case. Sebastian Posma returns to pit lane. Gergely Kuntabo is now a lap down but is out of the pit. So Sebastian Posma obviously coming into some sort of issue there from 6th position. But as you said, Kieran Sharp here, he is under real pressure from Jens Kaiser behind. Jens Kaiser very, very fast off of that. And Florian Durkop has another huge moment then coming out of that second chicane. He goes further down that time in order. He's going to drop past Michael Hamlet. Contact then with Kieran Sharp there, and that is going to be a big, big moment for Jens Kaiser. Jens Kaiser waiting for that car in front to get going again, and Kieran Sharp waiting for a safe moment to rejoin there. Completely unintentional, I think, there from Jens Kaiser behind, but that has cost the two of them a great number of points there. This is a replay of what happened to Matt Davis, and I've got a horrible feeling this is going to involve, Steve, another chicane.
Yeah, too much curb, too greedy with the curb, and just lost it completely. And that's a heavy, heavy impact there into the wall. There's no wonder he's limped back to the pits, but yeah, massive, massive impact. And it's just, like I said, the drivers have just been too greedy. We've seen replay of our very own Michael Hamlet now. What's he been up to?
Well, we'll see. This is through turns 3 and 4 then. And he keeps things going, and the back end just steers away. He doesn't jump onto the brakes there. I'm disappointed with that, but look, it's easy enough to happen here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's just a little loose, a little bit of traction loss there at turns 3 and 4. And the back end just sweeps out from that car. But have a look at this though. Christie and Plas from about 7th place on the grid is now up into 3rd position. Alexander Posma into pit lane again with some damage on that front right of the car. That is going to be contact with the wall, I fear, on that one. So is Robert Jean de Jong into pit lane as well. Oh my God, Sebastian Posma just absolutely wipes himself out there, Steve. And I think that, never mind the safety car, that's going to require the medical car for that one.
God help him if he's in VR. That's all I can say from that one. They're skating along the road upside down there. That's not going to be a pretty sight. But yeah, absolutely. Those curbs are proving lethal this evening, and they are wiping a few of the guys out. They just need to really just wind it in a little bit. Just try and take the more conservative line. Stay off those big the big sausage curb, as it were, on the inside, and just concentrate on staying out there, not getting damaged. I know they've got the fast repairs, but it takes time still to get into the pits, get that repair and get out. We're seeing a lot of guys now who've been into the pits a few times now, and it's obviously hurting their races. But that gap up at the top is still staying around half a second, but those two front guys have pulled away. They've got a very comfortable lead over third place, so they're doing what they need to do, but it is very much a two-car battle at the moment for the lead.
Not anymore, Steve, not anymore. Yellow flags flying here at Charlotte. Safety car is out, and that is already done and dusted. 7.5 minutes gone, and we've had our first safety car, and that is unsurprising given that we've lost about 4 of the 5 cars out already. They'll get back onto the lead lap there, and wow, there we go then. So yellow flags flying here at Charlotte, and that means, I mean, that was another point I was about to bring up to you, Steve, is the fact that, Christie and Plaza in third place, 12.5 to 13 seconds behind that battling first and second.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the pace up there at the front was pretty amazing. I mean, there were the best lap from the leader at the moment is a 1:10. P2 was a 1:11. Third place is 1:12. So they've got the pace up at the front, and they were really putting it to good effect. I'm sort of, it's nice in one way. It's good that the yellow flags have come out, get to close the field up a little bit, and let's get some battling underway again as soon as we can. Get the cars that are lapped back out there and back onto the lead lap if we can. But on the other side of the coin, we had a 2-car battle that was going to rage away for a fair bit further, I think, into this race. And it'd have been interesting to see how that was going to play out. But it's good now. They're all getting back together. We're going to almost like a race restart again, start from scratch, and see what happens when that safety car pulls in.
Yeah, that's right. So Oscar Saristo, Gergely Kunsabo and Sebastian Posma will be able to get back round, but I do fear that Sebastian Posma is already out of the race. I think he has... Well, he's still showing as... no, he's not. So he is looking like he is out of the race completely, which means that already we're down to 15 cars out of the 18 that were there. And I tell you what, if that's the case, all you have to do is just, even if you have an accident... is here as we see Masek Hyla down into second place. I'm not sure why Jusloon is showing as the leader of the race. I think that is just a mistake with the timing screens there. In fact, it is definitely a mistake there. He might have headed back into pit lane. That's exactly what Jusloon has done there. Florian Durkop then, Kieran Sharp, Jens Kaiser all calling into pit lane, and this is where strategy also comes in here, Steve, because it's essentially a free pit stop for these cars, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got to take some fuel at some point during this race, at least once, maybe twice. I'm not sure, to be honest, but at least once. So if they can get in there and sort of fuel up to go for the next segment of the race, then yeah, definitely it's a free pit stop, because obviously the lap times are way slower at the moment behind the safety car as they would be under a full course green. So yeah, it'd be almost silly not to take that opportunity and take the fuel and take the free pit stop.
Yeah, for sure. A big shout out to everyone watching out on YouTube as well, on the SimGrid YouTube channel. And Morgan Short gets in touch to say, got to say, it's a pretty silly track for these cars. Well, listen, Morgan, I mean, I'm still trying, they won't have any of this, but I'm still trying to get them to get the Mercedes W12s up at Knockhill for next week. They're having absolutely none of it, but I'm confident I can twist the arms over at the offices at Coach Dave Academy and get them to change their mind, but I'll let you know as soon as we get word if that can happen. That would be some race, would it? Get some F1 cars here at Knockhill.
Well, can you imagine the commentary? I mean, I'm not sure you'd be able to keep up with that one, David. Even with your skill and talent, that would take some doing.
It's yeah, there's absolutely no chance of that one. It's I'm just trying to think of how many cars would see into the air on turn 3 or down through Duffus Dip. But there's confirmation from race control. Lap cars can now unlap themselves. So Oscar Saristo is going to head back round and put himself back on the main lap there. Gergely Kun Sabo as well, as we head into 12 minutes here of a maximum 2-hour race here. I think we'll get definitely in much quicker than that. I think it's safe to say we'll probably get this race done in about an hour and a half, depending on how these cars can do. As right as Balba now at the front of the field. Now, he's looking a bit confused. He's stopped the car, and I wonder what on earth is happening here. He's decided to pull it in. I wonder if he's maybe got to wait for leaders, or maybe erroneously it's given him a message saying that he's got to stay out there. So we'll see what happens. Balba will definitely have to go to the back of the field there, but maybe just in taking a moment here, Steve, to enjoy the beautiful sights and sounds at the 2018 Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, absolutely. The sights and sounds of the cars trundling around behind the pace car. It's definitely, it's going to be interesting. It's intriguing. I mean, I'm loving the fact there's a full house of spectators in watching, enjoying the action here. And what does this do to you as a driver, David? You know, when you're sat behind the wheel, you've been going hell for leather, 10 tenths, and now you're behind the safety car going at this. There's a lot of time for contemplation at this point, isn't there, and thinking and second guessing almost.
Well, there we go. The lights are off on the safety car, so it is going to be this time round. And there we go. Then Balba gets on the go again. He'll have to file into position here as we see the leader of Masek Hyla taking his rightful place. So the cars have all unlapped themselves, who need to unlap themselves. Although Oscar Saristo and Gergely Kunsabo still showing on the timing screens. I don't know if you see that, Steve, is still a lap down, so they've had the opportunity to unlap themselves, but they possibly so they've been into pits, so the timing tower just has to update itself, because it's gone a little bit wonky right now, as we see Masek Hyla in the lead of the race, but it's shown as Jusloon in second place there. So we'll clarify exactly what on earth is going on very, very shortly, but it should be Masek Hyla ahead of let's have a look here. It should be Maximilian Walmuth and Horstian Plaza, I believe, will be in third place, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens here anyway. And yeah, it's a bit of a bizarre safety car, Steve, and I've got to be honest, at this moment in time, you know just about as much as me.
Which is not a lot, to be fair, but it's a long safety car period, is this one as well. It seems to be dragging on. I'm wondering how much damage there is to the track that they're having to repair, because they're keeping that car out for a number of laps here. And again, I go back to that point that I was making, David, about the concentration levels for the drivers as well, because obviously it does break the concentration, it does change your thought process, and potentially starting to second guess what your race strategy is maybe, and you've seen the other cars going into the pits. It will play mind games with the drivers, won't it, this?
It absolutely will, because they'll be just as unsure as we are right now. They might have a little bit more of an idea, given that it does look like the time screen's having a little bit of a fit just now, because that's definitely all Ferraris up the front there, and I can't see a Mercedes anywhere. Well, there he is on the inside there, so that is going to be the number 4 of Michael Hamlet, who is away down in 10th place there. So again, I'm not too sure what's happening with that, but we're about to go green here and get things underway for the 70 laps here at Charlotte Roval, get the restart going. There's a saying in NASCAR here, yellows breed yellows, and I think they're very much in danger of that. But biggity, well, let's go racing. We get underway again, and that is a cracking restart then from Masek Hyla. And we see Maximilian Walmuth there showing in third position, but yet he's in the lead of the field. Steve, I'm going to give it a lap or so to figure out what on earth is actually going on here.
Yeah, let's give it a lap to sort itself out and enjoy this battle now that's going to ensue as they're all very, very close again through the infield now, nose to tail. The leaders on track have broken away again. They've already got that little bit of a gap, but it didn't get the jump quite as much as he did at the original race start, but it's still looking very close, and this has brought them together, and there's going to be some big slipstream battles now down as they go back out onto the oval. Now it's all about the corner exit there and getting a good drive, slotting him back behind, see if you can get the slipstream, see if you can get dragged past. But this is a 3-4 car train almost now. There's going to be some big slipstreams, but there's going to be some big kahunas into this first chicane as they come round now to attack it at race pace for the first time after a few laps. And the Lamborghini there absolutely hit it spot on, almost straight lined it, but didn't take too much curb to unsettle the car and really got that position and stamped his authority on it.
Yeah, certainly did there. So Masek Hyla still in the lead. We've got chaos going into the final chicane up the inside there. That's Robert De Jong who takes that position and forces into the wall. Lance Taylor in the yellow Ferrari. That means that Michael Hamlet can sneak up the inside in the Dunder Mifflin number 4 Mercedes there. Love that little nod to the office there. Rather fine paper company indeed. But that Mercedes gets things going again. And as I said, it's Masek Hyla ahead of Maximilian Walmuth now by about 0.5 of a second. Corsian Plas in third, Florian Dorncock in fourth, and fifth place is going to be Robert Jan de Jong here. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Just also looking at, I think that Just Loom is still showing us in the lead here, Steve, and to be quite honest with you, I think this might actually be for that, because he's now on 12 laps.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange, to be fair, because I'm not quite sure how that's happened, whether it's just a glitch with the timing tower that's caused the problem, but yeah, it's definitely incorrect, but it's strange. Maybe another yellow flag will sort it out later on in the race, but at the moment, yeah, he's definitely showing in the lead, and he's showing us pretty much a lap ahead almost.
Yeah, well, like you said, it'll be sorted out during the next safety car period. Fingers crossed we actually sort of get one, because obviously we want to see the racing on track. But this is what we actually want to see here. This is Maximilian Walmuth then in second position, hunting down Masek Plas then. This is your race leader, who is trying to get away from second place just now and doing a rather good job of taking Maximilian Walmuth with him. But have a look at Corsian Plas. He's not dropped off all that much either. And I say that again, I mean, Steve, that livery is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, absolutely is. I was just looking at that myself, thinking, yeah, that's quite tasty. That one, I wouldn't mind that on my car. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous liveries on some of these cars, and this one in particular. But he's very much in the slipstream of that car in front, and he's very much looking to try and close that gap back down to the leader, as we just drop back to Kieran Sharp again, who's been in the thick of the battles throughout this race, and he's no exception now. He's still battling for P6 at the moment, and just trying to get a good run through the chicane. He's right on the back of the Ferrari of De Jong, Jong in front of him, and he's going to get down the inside there as he makes a mistake, and yeah, Jong loses a couple of places there.
Great move there, and Kieran Sharp then on the recovery drive, you remember, came together with Jens Kaiser and went all the way down to, I think it was about 9th or 10th position. That's a fantastic recovery drive there from Kieran Sharp to pull the pair of them up through the order, then 6th and 7th place respectively. In fact, make that 5th and 6th place respectively, of course, because we have to discount Just Loon, who is shown at the top of the time screen. Said a little brush of the wall though from that BMW in front of Jens Kaiser. That's going to allow Robert Jan de Jong to get the run here and potentially make a move on the exit of this chicane here. That gap though to your leader and second place though, still just 0.4 of a second, and I would hazard a guess here, Steve, to say that at this point in time I'd be more inclined to just be a little bit patient, as he absolutely sends it in. Jens Kaiser gets the move done from nowhere. I thought he was going to be vulnerable to Robert Jan de Jong behind him, but Kieran Sharp caught napping there, and the BMW battle goes on, and that was some move by Jens Kaiser on Kieran Sharp.
That was a brave move. It was decisive, though, wasn't it? There was no ifs or buts there. But Kieran Sharp looking there, he's poking his nose up the inside. He's not going to give this position up easily. He's going to try and come straight back at him. And meanwhile, the Ferrari is just sat there in a waiting brief, maybe waiting for those two guys to make a little bit of contact, a mistake that's going to open the door up for him to gain 2 positions. He's very much in the box seat to take advantage if there is any issues. But they're just going to come back out now, back onto the oval, and the BMW's looking now. They're going to form a train. They just pull away from the Ferrari a little bit on the initial get up and go out of the corner, but the Ferrari is going to be close enough still to stay in the slipstream and hang on to the back of them. But the battle is very much in front of him now as the Sharp just pops his nose out again. He's going to be brave to send it in that chicane because it's far too fast. You've really got to be well alongside if you're going to go into the back straight chicane there. But he's not managed to get the move done. He's still in the slipstream. The Ferrari is now closing back up onto them again, and it's turning back into that 3-car battle that it has been for the last couple of laps.
Well, Matthew Davis has been on YouTube to say this has been a dreadful choice of a track. Unless you're in a Ferrari, you don't stand a chance. Well, the fact that you've got a Lamborghini in 3rd place and 2 BMWs in 5th and 6th, might disagree. Personally, I've never been a big fan of the Audi, Steve. It's a little bit of a schizophrenic type of car. It's all fun and games until it decides to randomly pitch you into the nearest wall at 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. It's driving on a knife edge, is the Audi. But I mean, okay, the car and track choice, it's a fun race. It's not a championship, it's just a fun event. Take the cars that you want to race, have a go. Jeong's just gone round there and absolutely lost it on the power and managed to keep it out of the wall, but he's lost a lot of positions there and he's got a lot of hard work to do now. But it's a fun race. Let's remember that the guys are out there in the cars, they want to race. There's been lots of there's been a few incidents and accidents. We've had a yellow flag that's brought the field closer together again. Who's to say we're not going to have that yellow again? It only takes the wrong incident with the wrong car to be involved to change things up at the front as well. So nothing's over. As we just see there, Alexander Posma just really, the back end of that car was airborne through the chicane there over the curb, and he lost all traction and just threw it sideways off the track and into the barrier. Gentle touch in the barrier. I'm not sure how much damage he will have picked up, but all the same he did make contact, so not a great point in his racing career.
Yep, Eustloon came into the pits there. That means that the timing board has reset itself. Here's a replay then of Robert Jean de Jong. Again, just too much oversteer coming into that bit on the entry into the oval part of the circuit there. Also noticed that Alexander Posma, as we saw there, had that moment that was coming through the chicane here. And again, just a clip. Oh dear God, that is horrific. That Ferrari, I can imagine the air inside that turning Italian blue, I think.
Yeah, that's one colour it may be, but again, if you're in VR and you're spinning around like that, it's certainly going to be turning the air a funny colour, because I'm not sure how well they'll be feeling after something like that. But we're looking now at, this is, well, for the lead, we believe, although the timing tower is still incorrect. But these guys battling away here, and very much very close on track. On the infield, all still keeping it fairly tidy. I'm really interested to know what they've done with the setup. These must be, they must be running very similar setups, because you can still throw a blanket over the pair of them after several more laps of racing after the yellow flag.
Wait a minute, what's happened there? Maximilian Woma takes the lead off the race from Maciej Kyle. So, wow, that's a bit random. We've obviously missed out with everyone sending their car to the moon there. So a great move for Maximilian Woma there, taking the lead of the race from Maciej Kyle there. Florian Durkop still nearly 5 seconds behind this lot here as Michael Hamlet into the pits. We'll wait to hear. I didn't hear any swear words, Steve, so I'm going to presume this is all part of Michael's master plan there, as we see the car magically up in the air on the pits there. But Corsley and Plast here under increasing pressure from Kieran Sharp. And that BMW just appears like it's come out of absolutely nowhere there, Steve, doesn't it? The pace on that thing is incredible.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to the setup choice. I think he's running a slightly different setup maybe to some of the other cars around him, and he's showing great pace and he's showing great driving skill there, driving so close up behind, and he's really pressuring and putting pressure on that P3 at the moment. But it's been a great recovery drive for him, hasn't it? I mean, he was fair way down the order, and he's had a few battles. He's come out of those unscathed now, and he's really pushing on, and he's trying to he's pushed forward to get into fourth place at the moment. I have to confess, to be fair, David, that I have turned Mr. Hamlet down in Discord because he was getting quite vocal at one point.
Oh, you mean you've not muted him yet? I did that many months ago. Michael Hamlet looks like he's called it a day then. He's into the pits, and I'm wondering if that is going to be that race done and dusted. I've got to be honest, that's a little bit disappointing, because as much as we love taking the Michael out of Michael, see what I did there? He is actually a genuinely fast driver. I've raced against him a couple of times, and hands down, he can absolutely have a number on me any time. I think it's been on at Donington, and I think it was in the GT3's, and yeah, he was just running circles around me. But by the by, it's not been his night tonight, has it, for Michael Hamlet? So it looks like another retirement. Meanwhile, Kieran Sharp all over the back of Corsian Place here again as they fight it out as well. And Florian Durkop in no man's land here. But have a look at Maciej Kyla now, just 0.4 of a second behind your new race leader here. This could be it though for Kieran Sharp as they come back on towards the oval here. Looking very, very strong here indeed as we hit lap 20 out of 70 here. Kieran Sharp, I think here, maybe just doing a little bit of fuel saving, maybe just waiting his time here, because he looks fairly comfortable here, Steve, just staying behind that Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just biding his time. I mean, it's all about tactics still at this point in the race. They've still got a fair way to go, another 50 laps sort of thing still to do. So, it's not over by a long way, and he doesn't want to be hasty with anything. And we've said before, he seems to be faster when it comes to those the downforce sections, and he seems to lose out a little bit on the back straights maybe. But he's going around the outside. That just shows some bravery, commitment. He gets it done round the outside, David. That was an audacious but awesome move.
And that was outrageous from Kieran Sharp and On the Limit Racing BMW to take fourth place from Corsian Place here. So we are about coming up to about a third of the way through into the race there. Confirmation, we have now got several cars that are lapped down now. Gergely, Kuntabo, Alexander Posma, Robert Jean de Jong and Oscar Saristo again going laps down here. They will be saved if there is another yellow flag here, but again, with the way that this racing is going, it's only going to be a temporary reprieve, isn't it? Because they get back into it, and they're just sending it too hard into these chicanes. Just like Maciej Kyla here, he absolutely rocketed that car into the final chicane here. And if I'm Maximilian Walworth, I'm starting to get a little bit antsy here, because while we saw Walworth doing amazingly well at Sebring and taking an unlikely win here, it looks like Hyla has got the pace all day long.
Yeah, he's certainly applying some pressure. He's doing what he needs to do. He's sat in the slipstream there. He's filling the mirrors of that Ferrari ahead, and he's really putting him under pressure. But it has to be said, Maximilian is soaking up that pressure at the moment. He will be keeping one eye in his mirror, but he's really doing what he needs to do. He's putting the car where he needs to do it. He's not driving over defensively yet. He's still trying to take the optimal lines. He's trying to he's not having to really make it difficult for Haley behind. But he'll just be conscious of him there, and we'll see now how much he closes up in that slipstream as they're just heading through the chicane there, and he's just ever closer, edging closer in the slipstream. Are we going to see another outside move? I think he's setting it up to try and do it.
Here we go then, side by side into the chicane later on the brakes, and that's a great move from Maciej Kyla. Too late into the curb though, clips over it, and that hands on a silver platter back the lead to Maximilian Walworth, and we do it all over again. And weirdly, this is almost the only battle on track right now, because Maciej Kyla and Maximilian Wolmuth, half a second splitting them up, and everybody else really is all 2 to 3 seconds split up just now. Lance Taylor comes into pit lane, and we'll keep an eye on that one, because obviously, from personal experience here, I get the feeling that Race Control will be throwing a competition caution in the next wee while, because they like having an enjoyable race for the spectators, and they don't like their little packs getting away too far from the rest of the pack here. So it's that fine balance between having fun and being a little bit flag happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've raced in some other communities, in my own community as well, where we're having iRacing events or ACC events, and they're just for fun. When we're practicing, if the guys are some guys are getting too far away, or guys have incidents further back, we throw the virtual yellow and close everybody back down. It adds to the enjoyment, and it's a fun race, so why not? The field has got a little bit smaller with the couple of retirements we've had, and as the cars get spread out, it is obviously less enjoyable to watch, because you're just not seeing as much action. You're not seeing as many battles, so it'd be quite interesting if they do throw that competition yellow, as it were, and get them all closed up again. We'll see another restart, just to keep it all a little bit interesting for the viewers at home.
Well, at this rate, I'll be able to join the server and be in contention in about 20 minutes' time here, Steve, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But if you've just joined us, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to the Coach Dave Academy iRacing event. It's the GT3's 70 Laps of Charlotte Roval, brought to you by the SimGrid. It's David Christie and Steve Proudley bringing you all of the action on a Monday night. And let's face it, where would you rather be on a Monday night? This is all the action, all the fun you could possibly need. And here we go with more fun and action and frivolity. Maciej Kyla having a look onto the back end of Maximilian Wolmuth there. Again, taking way too much of the curb on that exit there. And that really, really compromises that Ferrari behind. But again, closing down, Steve, at a rate of knots, and again just looking further behind here. I can't see anyone catching up now, and I believe now that means that we've only got 6 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, to a point, I mean, that's the nature of sort of oval racing, isn't it? I know we've got the infield here, but with this amount of cars on the track and the nature of this track, it's a short lap. Cars are going to get lapped fairly quickly, aren't they? It's just one of the natural things that happens at this, like I say, this kind of track, when the lap times are so quick and the laps are so short. But they're still battling away, these two guys. They're keeping it so close, and it's still anybody's race up at the front. And these two guys, I don't think, could really thank us if a yellow flag was thrown, because they are locked in battle in their own little world. But really just trying to eye up Maximilian up ahead and just see where he can make a move. We saw him try it a few laps earlier into the chicane, got it wrong on the exit really, because he braked late to get the move done, and then on the exit was compromised, took too much curb and handed the position almost straight away back to Maximilian ahead of him. But absolutely fantastic battling, really close together, these two, and they have been now since the start of the race pretty much, David. It's just been a very much a 2-horse race, and long may it continue. I think there's some fantastic driving standards from these two guys. They're using every inch of the track. It's almost like an exhibition race for them at the front.
And when you get drivers like this, they love having another driver that's on the same sort of pace as them that they can battle with. The same with the likes of Florian Durkop and Kieran Sharp, as we see Jens Kaiser fall at the back of that group now in 6th position. So the battle between Jens Kaiser and Kieran Sharp very briefly over just now. But Kieran Sharp closing in on Florian Durkop at a rate of knots. It was a personal best lap last time round for Kieran Sharp, as we see yet again Maciej Kyla still stalking, still trying to catch on to the back of Maximilian Wolmuth, but Wolmuth getting the better of him through that chicane that time by, and the gap actually starting to creep up ever so slightly. So the big game plan for Kyla hasn't really worked out, and that's into the wall! Wolmuth into the wall, and that hands the lead to Maciej Kyla, and that is surely going to be big damage for Maximilian Wolmuth. And well, Steve, I mean, for an unpredictable error, that is pretty much it. Oh my God, again! Robert Jean de Jong. I mean, look, as crashes go, that's a good one. That is 9.5 for artistic style.
Yeah, I mean, I almost thought we were watching a repeat of a replay we saw earlier on that one, because it was pretty much a mirror image of what happened, albeit the roll was carried out with a bit more grace and a bit more, the recovery was a little bit better. He managed to stay pointing the right way eventually. But yeah, this was a massive moment for Maximilian Wolmuth. He's just hit that wall there, and you can see he's picked up damage. You can see he's struggling to steer the car there, and he's obviously going to be going in for a fast repair now as we're under full yellow.
Well, there we go. We were wondering when we were going to get a competition caution. Turns out we've just had a caution. So the car left as right as Balba hits that curb on the inside as well. And he ends up going a lap down now. So, I mean, this is a proper war of attrition here. Jusloon gets back onto the lead lap here. But, I mean, as I say, I mean, this is now a proper... I was hoping that wasn't Robert Jean de Jong under safety car, but thankfully it's not. So Robert Jean de Jong running a little bit wide there, but lapped cars will be allowed to unlap themselves here. And again, we start this all over again. And it's almost a get out of jail free card for Maximilian Wolmuth, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, but it keeps it interesting, doesn't it? It keeps the race alive, as it were, and keeps it interesting for all of us watching, commentating, and even the drivers racing to a degree. Closing them all back up, and again, some of them will be a little bit frustrated, and some of them will be thankful. But that's just the very nature of it, and I think it's going to ensue some great racing, and we've seen some good battles already. We've seen our fair share of incidents, and it's those curbs that they're going to have to learn the lesson with those curbs soon. But obviously it's a fine knife edge by gaining an advantage by just taking that bit more curb to actually pushing it too far and losing traction and causing an accident.
Yeah, for sure. So 27 laps out of 70 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway through the Roval. Again, a little bit of a fun community night going on just now as we see Robert Jean de Jong racing with the BMW up in front there. That is going to be, I can presume, is that Gergely Kunsaba? No, that's right, it's Balba who is racing along with him, trying to undo all of the damage. Now, if they get past here, then they might be able to pull the lights off of that safety car just now, but I doubt that will happen because it's likely too late as we see more cars trying to unlap themselves just now. That, I believe, is Oscar Saristo on the inside there who makes his way past. Indeed, it is his way actually into pit lane just now then, so that must have been actually Gergely Kunsabo trying to unlap himself here. So, lap 27 here, Steve. It's it's been an interesting one for your first taste of the Coach Dave Academy Monday Madness.
Oh boy, has it! I mean, we're not even halfway through yet. As we're just going to get a replay now of Robert Zhang as this is the big one. Oh my word! Yeah, absolutely. Barrels it into the tyre wall there, and I think just got the pre-launch from the curb, and then the tyres finished it off, and a complete barrel roll, and just completes the move with a nice little 180 back round to face the right way and carry on as if nothing had happened. Although I'm sure that car's pretty damaged at that point. But interestingly, before the yellow flag was shown, Kieran Sharp, who is now in 4th place and been on a bit of a recovery drive for a big part of this race, he was lapping faster than the leaders. Not by much, but he was lapping faster than the leaders. And the leaders, while they were running close, David, they weren't actually driving defensively. I don't think they were really compromising their lines. They were doing, they were driving a reasonable lap pace, but he was a couple of tenths faster on his best lap around just before the yellow was shown. So maybe this opportunity to close the pack back up, we may see Kieran Sharp trying to go with those guys at the front.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's a swarm of cars. We've not seen something like this since Daytona at the weekends, where we see tons and tons of cars come in under a yellow flag. But Alexander Posma has decided that he is staying out, so he moves up into 4th position for just now. Remember, these guys will filter back in at the end of the group, but they will be part of the group as long as that safety car is still going round. So, believe it or not, I do think actually that does genuinely mean Sloan is in the lead of this race, Steve, after all of the shenanigans earlier on. So he got a wave round. I think he's back to where he is just now. He might get at the end of line, but no actual pits of his own accord last time round. So yeah, I think he is actually up there on merit. So that would be a turn up for the books for Sloan. But I think he's already lost that to Robert Jean de Jong.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we know these guys that have obviously some of the guys that have pitted now to take the fuel and whatnot and get maybe some fast repairs done while they're in there. They're going to come back out all guns blazing. So I think this could be a very interesting restart if those guys can get the field all closed back up now. The guys that have unlapped themselves get themselves back up onto that lead lap and everybody get closed up again. This restart could be very, very interesting. And going back to what you said at the last time, hopefully yellows won't breed another yellow.
I think that's a little bit optimistic thinking there right now. We might eventually get finished this race at some point. 28 laps out of 70, we're still under caution. I believe this is probably going to be the last lap under caution. The car's making their way back round to catch up to the rest of the group. Here is Florian Durkop going at full speed, and that is not somewhere where you want to catch the rest of the pack coming out of that bank turn, where you catch up to the group at a very high rate of speed, and then suddenly you've got to slam on the brakes. The car usually doesn't like that. This is through the first of the 2 chicanes, so they've got another part of the oval to go round, and then we'll keep an eye on that safety car. We'll actually see if we can get a view on the safety car to see if the lights are still on or not, because I think, Steve, they're off, and I think we might be going green flag racing at the end of this.
Yeah, hopefully so, because they're all, like we said, they've all got closed back up now. They're all there on the lead lap and they're all ready to go. As we're looking at Robert Jean on the in the lead of this race and ready to go. And it's really, really shaken the field up now, and we've got a Mercedes in a genuine second place now. So yeah, maybe that comment about you've got to be in a Ferrari to win round here is questionable.
Well, I think we're a way to find that out there, because obviously Robert Jean de Jong, after one of the most dramatic accidents I think I've seen in a very long time in iRacing, it leads that field round. This is going to be the last lap behind the safety car, because it is going to come in this lap. I think that was a slightly erroneous message that's sent out there, but I mean, we're almost halfway into time-wise of the race, and I tell you what, the admins at Coach Dave Academy, they're getting their money's worth out of this race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's been too many incidents really in this first half. Well, we've got to halfway through. Yeah, we've got another six laps before it with a halfway point on laps. As you say, we're sort of just over 15 minutes away from the halfway point on time. So I think they're going to get the laps completed, but we'll see.
Yeah, we certainly will do. So it's Robert de Jong in front then of Sloan. It's then in 3rd position, Lance Taylor with Rias Balba in 4th, Alexander Posma in 5th, Maximilian Wilmoth in 6th, Florian Durkop currently in 7th position, Jens Kaiser in 8th, Maciej Kaila in 9th, Kieran Sharp in 10th, Korstian Plas in 11th, Gergely Kunsabo in 12th position, Oscar Saristo in 13th. So we've got 13 out of the 18 cars still going in this race. That also means now that given Maciej Kaila and Florian Durkop and the likes of Korstian Plas, they were the fastest cars out on this track, without a shadow of the doubt. They're now going to have to carve their way through the field here to make sure that they actually get back up. And that, Steve, just before we go to the restart, that is going to have its own problems as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's got to be clean, and it's going to be. It takes two drivers to make one clean move, because you don't want to see any erratic movements from anybody. So it's going to be difficult for them to do that. But interestingly, when they are making those moves, they will be very much watching each other as well, because they won't want either of them to steal the advantage, because their pace is very, very close. And if one of them manages to put a couple of cars between each other and get a clear run on the lead, who knows, they may be able to open up a gap that the other one cannot close down.
Well, we're just a couple of seconds away from finding out here on this Coach Dave Academy iRacing special event, GT3's 70 Laps of Charlotte Roval. This is the second safety car that we have had out tonight. In fact, no, I tell a lie, this is the third safety car that we have had out tonight, but it pulls off nonetheless to leave Robert Jean de Jong to stretch away, to open up the gas pedal and get going, as Justlund tries to follow in as well, and the rest of the cars make their way round, and we get green flag racing back here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's David Christie and Steve Proudley bringing you all of the action from tonight's fun event. Fun is definitely in quotation marks tonight, because there's a lot of drivers out there taking this very, very seriously indeed. And despite some earlier issues, Robert Jean de Jong has done a marvellous job of absolutely clearing off just now. He's got a second and a half over Justlund, with Taylor in third position. Alexander Posma makes the move up into fourth just now then, right as Balba gets bumped down into sixth position. And look at that, there's a little bit of contact there. It's Maximilian Walmer desperate to get past in that Ferrari. And look at that gap for Robert Jean de Jong. He is absolutely gone right now. It's unbelievable. The car that caused the safety car is actually in the lead of this race. Have a look at that BMW. Wanted to have a look there. That was Balba, who wanted to have a look on Florian Durkop there. Backed out last minute and almost caused a pile-up with Maximilian Walmer. But there goes Jens Kaiser and Maximilian Walmuth up the inside of Reuters Balba then. So Walmuth gets cleared up to 6th position, and Hyla is caught down in 9th position here, Steve.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that he's not managed to make any progress whatsoever, and he's got Kieran Sharp behind him in 10th, another one of the potential front runners there, stuck down the field after the pit stops under that yellow. We're just going to cut to a replay there as this Saristo is just really, again, I think it was just too much curve, threw it sideways, managed to keep it out of the wall and got it back on the track, so it's not cost him too much time. But when the field's all bunched up like this, it's the damage that he's caused to his race is quite big.
For sure. Up the inside goes right as Balba trying to hold on, but Balba falling back at a rate of knots here, down in 10th position. That's going to be Plaz trying to get past there, Corstian Plaz, who is just behind him in that Ferrari, going to make very, very short work. Another man who hasn't made huge inroads that we thought was going to is actually Kieran Sharp. Trying to make it up the inside there, but again that means that Maciej Hyla is away with it. How has Robert Jean de Jong done this? It's a 4-second lead, and we've got about a lap done after the safety car. That's incredible pace right now for the number 15 car, but again chasing them down right now. Maximilian Walmuth there at the back of a 4-car train to take that third position right now. Lance Taylor, Alexander Posma, Florian Durkop and Maximilian Walmuth at the back of it, and Reuters Balba makes a mistake. The Ferrari of Corstian Plaz has a look up the inside, but it's not to be this time by. We are so close to hitting the halfway mark here. Robert Jean de Jong does a personal best, 1:11.35, fastest lap of the race for him, and up into third position as Lance Taylor has a huge moment there. Lance Taylor falling all the way down through the field. So is Alexander Posma here. So what happened then? This is on the entry to the chicane. Is it going to be a little bit of contact here? No, it's not. They get going through, but so Maximilian Walmuth then, and that's on the inside, and that's Justlund. That is Justlund from second place on the exit of the chicane. He's gone, and you get the feeling that is going to be a big, big hit into the wall on the inside there. And yeah, that is a horrible situation for Usloon. That means Florian Durkop now up into second place, and more importantly, Maximilian Walmuth here, he fancies a fight. This is now for second and third position here. He's also got Alexander Posma just behind him in fourth position as well, but they're going to have to go some to try and catch up Robert Jean de Jong here. Big drama in the space of about a minute there, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely, but good to see that they're making progress now. You know, Maximilian Walmuth is got a clear track in front of him. I don't think he'll be worrying too much about defending from the car behind, because I think he's got the legs on him, and he's really, you know, going to put the lap times in hopefully here, as long as he doesn't get attacked in the slipstream. But I think he should be good. But also Sharp and Hyler have made moves there in 5th and 6th place now, so they're coming through. Just see him in the back of the shot there, so that'll be great encouragement for them, that they can still see the sort of the few cars up front. But as you said, Robert Jean de Jong is absolutely smashing it. He's nearly 7 seconds up the road now already after just 3 or 4 laps. He's really he's got his head down, and he's maybe one of those drivers. Is that Kieran Sharp? It is making a mistake there. Just did he get maybe with some contact? We'll just see a replay. Here we go.
Oh, not again. We've seen this already. Jens Kaiser into Kieran Sharp there. Well, I'm not going to bother assigning blame tonight because it's a fun race, but where is that BMW on the inside supposed to go is where I would argue on that one. Normally, I'm the first to assign blame, but do you know what? Who cares? It's a fun race. Right, anyway, Jens Kaiser and Kieran Sharp. Oh my God, there's definitely blame on that one. Right, I'm not even going to be polite about that one. That was Jens Kaiser just firing it in on the inside like a torpedo. And ironically, Jens Kaiser now down into 9th position and Kieran Sharp up to 7th. So I think Kieran's going to be laughing at that one. Did you see that, Steve? That huge wiggle from Florian Durkop.
Yeah, absolutely, a massive wiggle. But here we are now with Jens Kaiser, and he's just taking the curb there, just as much as he dared. But he's very much in that slipstream now of Bauber, and he's got the position done very easily. Has to be said. Got the slipstream, got underneath him, and he's got that position done. And there's just more battling going on now behind us. Hyler down in 10th place.
Lap 35 then, we are at the halfway point. My very basic maths brain has been able to figure that one out, but Jens Kaiser gets the position, makes it up into P8, just now being chased down by Rightus Balba. Balba again falling back, and Maciek Hyla, I was expecting to see tear through this field. It's not been that case, so I wonder if it's been a case of trying to get the... Oh my dear goodness me, Florian Durkop. We caught the tail end of that through the TV cams earlier on there, and it made it look, you know, it looked dramatic, but not that dramatic. My goodness me, that is a Code Brown moment for Florian Durkop right there. But again, just showing how much pace and how much skill he has behind the wheel of that one. So we've got 2 Ferraris side by side into the chicane. That is Corsi and Plaz trying to catch up to the back then of Lance Taylor. Lance Taylor gets the better there, and that means that Kieran Sharp is also on the move here as well. 15 seconds behind your race leader, and they are desperately trying to catch up as fast as they can, but it's not going to happen because that pace is very high indeed. Corsi and Plaz then side by side into turn 1, then tries to late brake on the outside, and it's almost 3 wide going into turn 2 here. Corsi and Plaz tried to move, didn't work. There's almost certainly going to be contact if they keep it up. Kieran Sharp feels optimistic there. He's got the move done into turn 3 then, and Kieran Sharp is optimistic as you like, but Corsi and Plaz holds it in around the outside. This is crazy racing here. Amazing stuff here. Kieran Sharp takes that position on turn 5 and 6, but it's definitely not going to be over yet as they head into the Roval, Steve, and this is the sort of action that we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. That was always Kieran Sharp's position once he got that inside line there, and he managed to hold it. Now he's going for another one, and he's got down the inside. The BMW has got the pace, it's got the legs, it's got the power, and it's got the position. Now he's made that look very easy. He's just going to have to defend it into this chicane now, as he's not driving defensively. It's quick line through there. He's good line, managed to stay off the curbs just enough, but managed to keep the momentum going forward, and he's already gapped them. He's absolutely annihilated the 2 Ferraris that he's just overtaken.
Brilliant stuff indeed. And have a look at that, because in the outside there, right, is Balba fancies having a go at that as well. Jens Kaiser almost catching up to the back of them there. What has happened though to Maciej Haile? He is nowhere to be seen, and he's actually dropping off quite significantly. 1:11.44 that last time round. The leaders all doing about that same sort of time, but yeah, he's still stuck there down in 9th position. This is back with Maximilian Wolmer as Florian Durkop now trying to catch up onto that Ferrari. I wonder, Steve, if tyres are going to be an issue here, as we see Gergely Contabo absolutely mullering that inside chicane. I think he's just going to manage to avoid the wall here, but that's a heavy hit.
Yeah, heavy hit, and it's just those curbs where he did an awesome job there to keep it under control, avoid the wall, but also, you know, with the oversteer and the almost like what we call a tank slapper, he managed to keep hold of it, keep it under control, and get back on the track fairly orderly. But the Ferraris now slipstream. This battle's going on and on between these two guys, and Christian Plaz is trying to go around the outside, and that's going to be a tall move, but it's going to turn to the inside for the chicane, and he's maybe going to get it done. There's a little bit of door banging there, a little bit of contact. He's pushed the other Ferrari over the inside of the curb. Just going to have to see where he comes out, but that's bringing all the cars into it now, and it's a four-way battle at the moment.
Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving the fact that they waited for each other to carry on that battle. That is when you know drivers are enjoying the fight, when they actually just wait for each other to carry it on. It was a little bit late there into the chicane there. That's how the door banging happened, but the two of them aren't really interested in that. They're just interested in what they see as taking the place fair and square. What that has done though is allowed Maciej Haile to get up into 7th position there as we head on into lap number 38 here. We're about to start lap 39 in about a minute's time here, but Robert Jean de Jong, I mean, this has been the standout story for me after that second restart there, catching everybody by surprise, getting up into that lead and absolutely dominating, absolutely taking the race by the scruff of the neck. And where did he come from?
Yeah, absolutely, and he's on pace with Maximilian Wolmer. I mean, he's just that last lap he was half a second slower, but up until that last lap they've been pretty much, the lap times have been pretty similar, so the gap's been going up if anything and not coming down, but it will start to come down now. But it appears that Maximilian has got his pace back, and he's put the 1:11.5 in on the last lap compared to Robert Jean de Jong's 1:12. So yeah, the pace is there. But Kieran Sharp as well, he's in the 11s. He's moving forward still after his little bit of a setback, and Isla in 7th place. Those are the other two cars to watch out for. They're the cars that have shown pace in the early stages of this race, but they've been beset by a few incidents and accidents. But be interesting to see Kieran Sharp especially. He seems to be able to get some of the overtakes done, and he's made some pretty audacious overtakes around the outside of some of the other drivers. So he's one that I'm watching. I'm keeping an eye on Kieran.
Hasn't he just used Loon then into the pits from 13th position? Again, it's just not been his day at the races just now. Kieran Sharp, as Steve Proudley said, up into 5th position, and it's a good call actually to keep an eye on him, because he is a very fast driver indeed. Indeed, those BMWs look devastatingly quick tonight, but just coming through the final chicane, he's got about 6 seconds to catch up to the back of Alexander Pozma. 6.9 seconds actually to be precise. The gap coming down very slightly to your race leader now, Maximilian Wolmer, pushing as hard as he can in that Ferrari just now. Gergely Contabo has had a bit of a moment. He is going backwards at a rate of knots. In fact, I think he might be stopped out on track just now. He's got going again, so big moment there for Gergely Contabo. Kieran Sharp though, as we said, in 5th position and just ahead of Jens Kaiser, and I'm hearing in my ears here that Gergely Contabo has somehow got engine damage on that car, and with quick pit stops, I don't think that is something that even fast pit stops can repair.
Yeah, I'm not too sure myself, to be fair, David, but we will see. Maybe just going to see how he's got some sort of damage there, as he's just took the curbs and he's lost a bit of traction. He's sideways, and he's going to lose it on the recovery, isn't he? Bang, heavy hit into the wall. That's how you damage an engine.
Oh, there you go. So confirmation then from race control that his engine has been fixed then. So maybe it's not so much fast repairs. Maybe I'm just thinking about normal pit stops. I remember doing the Daytona, and we had a heavy hit that damaged the engine, and going into pits didn't actually repair it. But obviously fast repair does actually sort it out, right as Balba on the adhesion limits. That's that's a hefty hit into the side there, and I think he's packed up and called it a night. He is into pit lane just now. Oscar Saristo, again, we've seen many moments for Oscar Sarista, and that's not worked out well for him. Jens Kaiser has had a huge moment there, and you can see him parked up, and that is, let's see what happened here. Has he been hit from that Ferrari behind? That was, I believe that's Christie Platas, isn't it? No, he's just lost it all by himself. That is a very strange accident there going into 7.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we've been saying all night, it's a compromise on setup maybe, and he may have some damage. I'm not sure, but definitely just broke traction and sideways there and lost it all by himself. He wasn't really under too much pressure either, so just driver error and one of those things. And now we're going back to Cop in 3rd place, who's pushing that Lamborghini. We've seen him on the edge of the limit this evening, and we've seen him have a few incidents as well here and there. And at the moment, he's running round in a very creditable 3rd place, so doing pretty well, it has to be said.
Absolutely, so we're coming to the business end of this race. 28 laps to go here out of 70 laps here at the Charlotte Roval, the 2018 iteration here in iRacing. This is the Coach Dave Academy iRacing special event. 70 laps here at Charlotte. Robert Jean de Jong out in the lead, and unthought of leader just now, but that is changing because I think the tyres are starting to go on that Ferrari. He is ahead of Maximilian Walmuth, and the gap is starting to come down at a rate of knots. In fact, it's coming down very quickly indeed. It's now 5.9 seconds to Maximilian Walmuth. So what has happened to that gap there? 1:11.6 for Max last time round, and a 1:12.2 for Robert Jean de Jong in the previous lap there. So very interesting to see there. Florian Durkop in 3rd, Alexander Posma in 4th, Kieran Sharp up to 5th position, Maciej Kaila now into 6th, with Christie Platas in 7th, Lance Taylor in 8th, Jens Kaiser in 9th position, Oscar Saristo in 10th, Just Loon, who was up in 2nd, believe it or not, is down to 11th position. Gergely Kunsabo is in 12th, but I think is about to retire from this race. So, with the gap coming down now, 6.4 seconds between Walmuth and Robert Jean de Jong here, Florian Durkop is also going to be a little bit of an issue because he's only 2.5 seconds behind Walmuth in 2nd place here. So, again, 27 laps to go here. And I do get the worry that a competition caution might not actually be needed here, because that gap between Robert Jean de Jong and Maximilian Walmuth is coming down at the rate of knots here, Steve.
It is, but Heiler in 6th place, he's done a 1:11.6. Everybody in the top 6, apart from the leader, are doing 1:11s. The leader's in the 1:12, so that gap is coming down. But all the cars behind are also lapping very, very quickly, so it could all close up very, very soon, because the gaps aren't too insurmountable there, and there's still lots of racing to be had. But Maximilian Walmuth, he really has got the hammer down, and that gap is, if he keeps closing at the rate of knots, he's like 3/4 of a second faster every single lap at the moment. So do the maths, it's not going to take him many more laps to catch.
That's very, very true. I wonder if fuel's going to be an issue for these cars as well. Maciej Kaila into the pits. Now, I wonder if that is for a pit stop or if that is for some sort of an issue that Maciej has had there. I'm presuming with the fact that we've not had a replay that is going to be a scheduled pit stop for the number 213 machine, who was one of the favourites for taking the podium place here at the race today, but still in pit lane. We'll keep an eye on that one, and that's a long stop. That is 55 seconds. I've got a horrible feeling that might be some damage on that Hyla. So it is. Oh my God, that is a horrible, horrible accident, Stephen. That looks like Hyla is going to be towed back to pits, and that might be his race done and dusted.
Yeah, he was pushing, as I said earlier. He was setting the track alight with some really quick times, and obviously pushing too hard, as there he is on screen with a lot of damage there, and that car's looking pretty difficult to already damage the car, and then it absolutely smashed it into the wall there, and I don't think that's going to be very drivable after that impact.
Certainly is. But lap 45 out of 70, and I mean, that is devastating to see that from Maciej Hyla. The fact that he's, escaped back to the pit lane, although the times now come back up onto the screen there, which would suggest that he is waiting now for that tow back. We'll keep an eye on that car and make sure that is the case, because if he has quit, that would be horrible to see, given that there could very well be another caution back in the race. I can't see a driver in behind the wheel of that car, so he could just be waiting to be towed back. But as it stands then, Robert-Jan de Jong still in the lead of this race for Maximilian Wormuth, and unbelievably, it looks like that gap now 3.3 seconds, Steve, is coming down like no one's business.
Yeah, I mean, having said that, the last lap, Robert-Jan de Jong, he managed to get his lap time under the 1:12, so there was only half a second gained on the last lap, but it's still half a second gained. That time he's coming down, like you say, and I think once Maximilian catches up, I don't think he'll have too much difficulty overtaking, and that's no disrespect to the current leader. It's just Maximilian. I think he's got some great pace, and I think he'll make short work of it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on as always, Steve, and we'll find out the answer to that in just the next 23 and a bit laps though. But Robert-Jan de Jong looking faultless right now in this the second part of the race here. Who would have thought it? He's done so well to get the gap that he did, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, because Maximilian Wormuth, and again, we saw this in the GT3's at Sebring, this is where the pressure all came in. The gap on the last lap was just 3/4 tenths of a second, and Wormuth stole it on the very last corner, so he does have track record for this one. And Robert-Jan de Jong there, I think, getting a bit of a power slide going on in that Ferrari, so obviously pushing maybe the car, maybe the tyres, maybe the fuel a little bit harder than it is able to do right now. And you brought up the point there as well, that it's not just Wormuth that's coming, it's Florian Durkop, it's Alexander Posma, who are starting to bring down that gap as well, consistently faster than that lead car right now. And I get the feeling it's going to be a matter of when, not if.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the battles are going to be ensuing, I think, throughout the top 6, maybe even 7, but definitely the top 5 or 6. There's going to be some more battling, because the gaps are altering all the time. Kieran Sharp took a second out of Alexander Posma on the last lap as well, so he's definitely, he's hunting down that 4th place. It's going to obviously potentially slow them down moving overall up the field once they start battling with each other. But this, it's going to create some fantastic battles. At the moment, though, Maximilian he's got that gap down to less than 2.5 seconds now, so he's really piling the pressure on. He's really stacking. He took nearly a second out again, as we're just watching Robert-Jan de Jong there, who's just gone sideways and absolutely just thrown it all away, David. He's deprived of us that great of a battle that we thought we were going to see by throwing it away.
I literally just glanced away as I was pouring myself some more water there, just to catch the car going sideways. Listen, I love to say that I'm sidekick, but that's exactly the corner last lap where I said he's power sliding that car around and pushing way too hard with those tyres and with that car. I'm wondering if he's got a little bit of Tokyo Drift going on there, but that was around and around and around the corner, and that basically throws the entire lead of the race away to Maximilian Wormuth. Now things can change if there's a safety car, and in fact, who's that coming into the pits there? That is Jens Kaiser, so that's not anybody to worry about just yet there. But again, I mean, how gutting are you going to be, Steve, if you're Robert-Jan de Jong right now?
Yeah, well, you're going to be obviously very gutted. You had the lead of the race from a fantastic restart. You knew the guys were coming from behind. Maximilian certainly, obviously he'll have been looking at his relatives, he'll have been keeping an eye on it. And I think it's just he's succumbed to that little bit of pressure. He's been clock watching, he's been looking at the stopwatch, looking at the relatives, and he's just basically just distracted himself, I think, and he's just pushed that little bit too hard there, and he's lost it. Like you pointed out, he was pushing it on the previous lap. And then he's just literally he's just pushed it over the edge of the limit, and he's maybe one of these guys. When we saw him racing in the middle of the pack, he was having a few incidents, he was pushing hard, and he was having a few crashes. When he got out clear, he was okay, but as soon as there was any sign of any pressure again, he just seemed to make a silly little mistake, really.
On that note, Steve, if you have a look at the timing screens, everyone now into the 112s. I wonder if the tyres collectively are starting to go in this field now, because the pace, well, just as I say that, Walmouth and Florian Durkop all do 111, so I will keep my mouth shut on that one. But you're absolutely spot on when you said about the change in pace, but the other thing is Florian Durkop, he is actually catching Maximilian Walmouth very, very quickly indeed. That gap now 1.7 seconds. We could have a little fight going on for the lead of this race. We've only got 20 laps left to go here. Wow, this is evolving very rapidly. We've also got a brilliant fight going on here. Robert Jean de Jong trying to hold on to that position from Alexander Posma and Kieran Sharp. Kieran Sharp still, I think, has got a huge chance of taking a podium tonight.
Yeah, because he's been closing up on Posma ahead of him all the time, and obviously Robert Jean de Jong has just offered them an opportunity now of another place, because he will have, he's picked up some extra tyre wear by sliding that car like he did, and he's not got the pace of these two guys, I don't think, anyway, as we're going to see Posma now trying to make a move down onto the outside on the entry of the chicane. He's going to try and get the switch back, try and get a better exit, but Kieran Sharp's going to keep him very, very honest, and they're going to go side by side. So Kieran Sharp's going to go down the inside there and gets that position. Great move.
Yep, down into turn one then, so Kieran Sharp up into P4. Next target is going to be Robert Jean de Jong, who is just a second up. Yuslun into pit lane again, and I get the feeling, well, at least also as an update, Steve, Masek Hyla back out on the track, and he's somehow only a lap down after that huge hit there. So he, if there's a yellow flag, he could still be in contention. I find that absolutely ridiculous. I find it even more ridiculous that Robert Jean de Jong is in third place, and he's had 3 pit stops tonight.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of these full course yellows, isn't it? And the safety car coming out, and the field unlapping themselves, closing themselves up. It's just not over, and Hyler he's made the right decision to come back out, because you just never know. There may be another full course yellow. He may get the chance to unlap himself, put himself back on that lead lap, and it's all to go for, because the field has got smaller. It's got smaller and smaller as the field, so there's less cars to fight your way through, and with Hyler's pace, he's going to be, he's a quick driver. He will cut his way through the field.
The other thing as well is, unfortunately, I made the mistake of hinting, if there was going to be a yellow flag caution. Of course, it's Michael Hamlet at race control, and he loves causing a bit of chaos with 5 to 10 laps to go. So that is all I'm going to say to you on that one, Steve. Just be warned that is a high likelihood of that happening towards the end of the race there. But Yuslun here again, just mounting that curb on the exit of the chicane there, and it's really been the driver's enemy tonight, hasn't it? These banked curbs and these sausage curbs on the inside of the racetrack here, Steve.
Yeah, well, you've got some of the drivers on track that are racing each other, and then you've got drivers like this that are racing the track and coming off second best. And talking of crashes, looks like Robert Jean de Jong has been involved in another incident here, curbs again.
Oh wow, that is a huge accident. Catches up Kieran Sharp in that one as well, into the, oh my God. That was quite cool, actually. I did like that from Kieran, almost mounting the wall. I've seen those meme videos at iRacing where the cars are on their side and still actually driving. But Robert Jean de Jong into pit lane. Kieran Sharp is still carrying on. In fact, Kieran Sharp, I think, has just decided to give up the ghost. That car very broken indeed. And yeah. Oh, there we go. So, Steve, full course caution, and we've got 17 laps to go. This could be it. Safety car out. Maximilian Walworth is going to be absolutely raging right now.
Oh, absolutely. But I think Kieran Sharp will be raging even more because that was, he was taking the opportunity to go around the outside, and Robert Zandajong, he couldn't do anything about it. He'd hit the curb. It wasn't like he did anything wrong, but Kieran Sharp will feel very aggrieved to have got as much damage and ended up like he did from that incident, I think, and he'll be a little bit upset because he was looking strong for a podium there as well, and now he's obviously in pit lane and potentially out of this race. Wow. So
Maximilian Walworth then in the lead of the race then from Florian Durkop, just 0.6 of a second as they close all back up with the safety car then. And wow, we get a chance to draw our breath after what's been a very long 54 laps just now, an hour and 15 on the clock, and we're expecting this to go on for another 20 minutes as we see the safety car coming out of pit lane, just a little bit late in catching the race leader there and almost wiping out Maximilian Walworth as our Porsche safety car. So let's have a regroup then. Let's take stock of what we've got then. Maximilian Walworth in the lead of this race from Florian Durkop, Alexander Posma in third position, Corsair Plaz in fourth, Lance Taylor in fifth, Robert Jean de Jong in sixth position, Oscar Saristo in seventh, Kieran Sharp in eighth, and the rest of the cars, Maciej Kyla, Just Loon and Jens Kaiser along with Gergely Kunsaba going to be allowed to unlap themselves just now. 12 cars remaining in the race. We've got, as I said, about 20 minutes left to go in this race. Who do we think, Steve, are going to be contenders for getting I want to say getting a race win. I think that's a bit too broad. Go for what about a podium?
I think I think Hyla might be one to watch. It just depends. I mean, they're all going to be looking at the fuel gauges out there at the moment and seeing who's got the fuel in. You would expect anyone that thinks they're going to have to stop to have stopped under this course yellow, but it's going to be really interesting. But Florian, who's currently in P2, he's shown some great pace. As you said earlier, he was actually catching Maximilian, who's out in the lead at the moment. So I think definitely those two on the podium, and my outside shot with Hyler, I think maybe getting a run through the field.
Well, that's actually a good point, because Hyla's done his pit stop as well. Well, to be fair, everyone's done a pit stop. Just Loon, Steve, 8 pit stops tonight. That's got to be a record, and he's still not last. Work that one out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, like I said, that's the beauty of the full course yellows. They get a chance to go into the pits as well, but obviously he's made some pit stops for damage earlier on. The fast repairs that are active in this race to allow the lads and lasses to keep going. Even with they've got big damage, they can go in there, they can pit, and the car is instantly repaired, so they can get back out on track and race. So it's always worth keeping going, and it doesn't take you too long to get back out on track. And we see Robert Zhang de Jong, he's in 7th place. I don't think Robert's got the pace. As I said earlier, I think when he was out clear at the front, he's okay, but personally speaking, and this is my own personal opinion, doesn't look like he can soak up much pressure, and I think that's why he makes so many mistakes when he's in the middle of the field. And we saw there, he made that mistake to give away the lead when he was under very little pressure, really. The only pressure he was under was the fact that he was watching the clock, I think.
Well, that's can be its own enemy, as we've seen in many other races that we've worked together on, Steve, over the other platforms, and it's no different here, coming under that pressure. Certainly from my own point of view, I struggle with that. I really do okay if I've got a car in front of me that I can chase down, then I do really well. But if I've got pressure coming from behind, from a car behind me, I crumble like some cheap cheesecake, unfortunately, and it's usually into the wall with me, which is why I'm not a pro sim racer. It's why I'm usually here talking about it instead. But we're going to try and change that. I've vowed for myself that I'm going to take a little bit of time out from doing as much commentary as I did last year, and actually try and make an effort to get some more seat time and get a little bit more sim racing. What about yourself, Steve? Do you have any plans to get back behind the wheel on a more consistent level?
In fact, I am. Yes, I've just completed the second round last Sunday not last Sunday, a week ago, in a iRacing TCR championship, and I'm currently third in the standings. There's 17 drivers have taken part so far, and I'm only third in the standings because I consistently finish. I finish in the top sort of between the top 5 and top 8, roughly, around there. And I've been taken out a couple of times, but I've gone back to the pits, got repaired, and kept going. So it's always worth keeping going. If you can score points, you score points, and they add to the championship tally. So yeah, I'm back behind the wheel, really enjoying it, and iRacing is the sim of choice for me at the minute because I can. It's a lot easier just to jump on and practice in all the servers that are going on as well.
The less said about that, the better. But I hope they at least bought you flowers if they consistently took you out, buddy. I'm signed up for the SimSport Racing Clio Cup, I think it is, that starts. I believe that is in a couple of weeks' time, if it's not already started. And then I'm going to be entering for 18 Brit season number 5, I think it is, or 4. Either way, that'll be a fun season to get involved with as well. But as it stands, if you've just joined us, a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Coach Dave Academy iRacing special event. GT3's 70 Laps of Charlotte Roval gets back underway, and I'm going to put my teeth back in so I can actually pronounce the title of this properly. And I tell you what, Walmer tries to get the jump, but it's not worked. Florian Durkop absolutely with him in the Lamborghini. It's nose to tail as we go through. It's Walmer, Durkop, Posma, Plaz, Taylor, Jean, Sharp, Hyla, Loon, and Saristo. That is your top 10. Somehow Oscar Saristo, despite all of the action, all of the drama he's been in, he's had that car repaired more times than I care to remember, and he's already up there. And Richard Jan de Jong has had a huge moment there. Richard Jan de Jong is gone. Well, guys, all I'm going to say is, can we get an F in chat for that one? Because that car is absolutely toast on that. Has he done it again? Has he? That's the same. Oh, he's managed to lose it before it even gets round the corner. That's an unusual accident there, and I know we shouldn't laugh, but that is quite funny actually.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I think just that Jean de Jong doing what he does best really there, because he's done that consistently throughout the race. Obviously, apart from the stint he had in the lead, but he's had his fair share of incidents, and I think he's just finished up there on his roof, and that's probably the end of his race. But there's another replay now of Haley trying to make a move on. That's Kieran Sharp. He's just gone underneath there, isn't it? And he's looking to move forward and keep up the pace. He's going to try and work through the field, but I think Kieran Sharp will follow him, as well. It's good to see he went and got the fast repair. He's back out. He's on the lead lap, albeit he's down the order a little bit in 5th place, but he's making moves because he was 7th at the restart, so he's got a couple of places gained already.
What has happened to Maciej Hyla? He's out. Maciej Hyla is out of the race. He's in the pit lane, and this is going to be on the exit of the chicane there. Tries to take it into turn 1, and I've got a feeling this is with Lance Taylor up the inside then, into the wall, and that is a hard hit for the pair of them, and that is 2 Ferraris for the price of 1 into turn 1, and they are wiped out, and that is going to be them out of the race, because I cannot imagine another caution now coming out in the last 13 laps of the race. Certainly we've got loads of drama to keep our eyes on anyway. We don't need to worry about that just now. Florian Durkop in between rock and a hard place just now. He's in front of Alexander Posma as we go with just as I said, ahead. 12 laps now left to go, but he's hunting. He is chasing down Maximilian Walmuth, and look at those times coming in. 1:10.94 for Maximilian Walmuth, 1:10.85 for Florian Durkop, and Alexander Posma 1:10.69. We are on qualifying pace, ladies and gentlemen. The fuse paper has been well and truly lit, and any pretenses that this is a fun race, that this is an exhibition race, well and truly out the window, because we've got two Ferraris and a Lamborghini that firmly, Steve, firmly want to win this race.
Yeah, just watch that Lamborghini. It's been on the edge of grip all evening, and you know, no disrespect meant to the driver, but he has been pushing it over the edge a few times. He's got these lap times in him. Quite obviously, he's in the 110s. But out of the three cars that are currently on the podium positions, that Lamborghini, I think, while the driver's got the speed, I'm not sure he's got the consistency, and especially in this situation where all three of them are so close together and battling so hard now, as they're all just nicely through that first chicane there. The curbs have claimed so many cars this evening, but this time all three of them make it safely through. And yeah, the Lamborghini's the one to watch for me for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, that sounds very, very ominous, as Florian Durkop now still trying to catch up to the back end of Maximilian Walmuth. We are now just over 10 laps left to go in this race here at the Charlotte Roval, the infamous Charlotte Roval. A wonderful mix of fast, free-flowing corners here as Jens Kaiser makes the move up the inside of Just Lund, who somehow is still in this race. God knows how. Just Lund having done 8 pit stops, Jens Kaiser having done 5 pit stops. So amazing still to see. Lance Taylor gets back out of the pits then and keeps in on this race. But here we go then, Florian Durkop back onto the oval then, trying to hunt down Maximilian Walmuth there. That's very late onto the oval for Alexander Posma. This is going to be a battle with the slipstream now. You can see that top left, the timing tower. That is the interval timer coming down and down and down. It's not going to be a move here for Durkop. He's going to have to wait and try and get his way through there. Gets the run out, takes a huge chunk of the curb on the left hand side. That's actually cost him a little bit of time, but that will be negated with the fact that they go back into the slipstream here on the final chicane, and that's late on the brakes for Alexander Posma. Closes right up to the Lamborghini up in front, and that has cost the Lamborghini about 0.2 of a second. Posma now needs to get past if he's going to try and make a move on Maximilian Walmuth, because if he's not careful, that Lamborghini is going to be a mobile chicane. It's going to cause Maximilian Walmuth to reach off and streak off even into the sunset in these final 10 laps of the race. I tell you what, it's been a chaotic race. It's certainly been a fun race, Steve, but now it feels like things just got very, very serious indeed.
We've just got 10 laps to go. It's a sprint race now. This is it. It's all out. Nothing held back. Just battle, 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 and push, push, push. And they're definitely making a good job of it. And Maximilian is now, he's sort of, I won't say he's gapped, he's got half a second cushion. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's more of a gap than he had last time round. So he's definitely putting the squeeze on with the times now, and just taking it nicely through there. The Lamborghini holding a good speed through there, and the gap's just coming down ever so slightly as the Lambo's picking up the slipstream, but he's not going to be close enough. And I think he'll lose a little bit of time again once they've gone through this final chicane, and then they headed back into the infield. I think Maximilian's got a bit of pace on this infield, and I think he can pull away from that Lamborghini a little bit, and that's where we'll see him edge it out. And I think the Lamborghini's going to have to start looking back in his mirror at Posma in third place, because he's hanging on in there, and he's going to be pushing hard for that P2 slot, I think, very soon.
Absolutely is, and every time you think Florian Durkop is getting a little bit of an advantage, he just seems to drift further and further back. And as you said, Posma is drifting further back as well, but then it starts to close up altogether. It seems to be on the entry to the oval is where the Lamborghini makes most of its time, but it's botched it there, and the gap now 1 second to Maximilian Walmuth. That's a great exit onto the oval for Maximilian Walmuth now, and Posma is going to have to get a move on. He's going to have to think about making this move now. He's only got 8 laps left in which to make it work. They're now almost side by side going into that first chicane. The Ferrari gets compromised on the exit there. You can see the speed dropping down, and that's now going to be 2 seconds to the leader for Posma there. That is a disaster coming in to the final 10 laps of this race. Walmuth though checks out. He is happy with it. It is only a second between the two of them there, but as you said, Steve, it looks like momentum, it looks like pace is on his side as Kieran Sharp makes a move up the inside of the Ferrari there of Christie and Plas, and didn't look like there was any defence there from Plas whatsoever. I wonder if there was maybe just a slowdown penalty.
Well, Kieran I've just been watching those timings, and he'd been closing up and closing, and he was right on the boot tail of that Ferrari for a good part of that lap, and it looked like he could have had him at any point in the slipstream. So I think it was just pressure. Maybe it was a slowdown. Maybe the Ferrari just braked a little bit too deep into the corner. But whatever happened, it just gave Kieran Sharp that P4, and he's maybe just a little bit too far back to hunt that final step on the podium, unless there's an incident ahead. But he's certainly made up good positions and got up to 4th place. As we're just watching Maximilian now, the gap's come back down to under a second again, but a little bit of that I feel is probably just down to the slipstream effect. The Lamborghini's still going to be maybe just picking up a little bit of an advantage from the slipstream, and he's just managing to keep a little bit of pressure on Woolworth ahead of him.
Looks like Carson Plas has got that position back from Kieran Sharp, and if that's the case, if that was the gap, that's a huge moment. Big air for the rear tyres of Kieran Sharp. Somehow he made it through. A bit of damage to that car, so that position has swapped back. Then Carson Plas gets the position from Kieran Sharp, but here we go again. Kieran Sharp right on the boot lids of the car in front indeed, and again that gap now to Durkop, first and second going up, but there comes Kieran Sharp, sticks the nose in through the exit of 6 there. It's not going to be. That Ferrari gets to breathe a sigh of relief as that big bad BMW looks very menacing here with just 7 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kieran Sharp in that BMW, I mean, Steve, he is not somebody that you're going to want to have in your mirrors. He's going to make you feel all sorts of nervous, isn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because he's hunting for that position, and you know it. There's no tactics now at this point. It's just a case of he wants that position and he's going to try and get it. So yeah, I'd be very nervous with him behind me, but because he's very, very quick, and I think he's going to get that position. It's just a case of when. But yeah, we'll see. But Kieran Sharp P4 at the moment. Who's dropped down there?
Let's have a look there. That's Posma. That's Alexander Posma, who is in the pit lane, and Kieran Sharp tries firing it around the outside at turn 1 there. Fair play. That is a move and a half. That is a move and a half by Kieran Sharp to take that position there from Plas. And also have a look at that as Jens Kaiser trying to take that position as well. So with 6 laps to go, yeah, I'm really happy with that for Kieran Sharp. So that means now Sharp into a podium position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like Posma had a bit of an incident and of his own doing and made contact with a wall, but that's obviously seen his race come to an end. Yeah, quick repair back out onto track, which is great to see. But yeah, Kieran Sharp, he's got ahead and he's managed to get onto that podium. But it's a tentative podium position at the moment because here comes Plas. He's coming back at him. He's down on the inside on the lower part of the track, but it's going to give him the inside to the first entry into this chicane. But it's going to be on the outside. Can he get the job done? Can they go through here too wide? He's got the job done. Don't need to go too wide. The speed of the Ferrari managed to get past the BMW there and take that podium place back. But Kieran Sharp's got the speed on the infield. We've seen how audacious he can be, and he likes to go around the outside of drivers, and he's back on the coattails again of that Ferrari, pushing, showing his nose down the inside there. But he's just not quite got the speed, and the gap's not opening up for him, and he's just not got the opportunity. But he's certainly applying the pressure at the moment, and you say it's going to be, you sort of think it's just a matter of time, but yeah, He's had the position twice now and given it back again, conceded it back twice. So they're closely matched, these two, and it's going to be interesting to see who does finally manage to get on that 3rd step of the podium.
You're absolutely right, and it's just thrilling to watch. Meanwhile, I've got the really weird urge to put a voice on of the count from Sesame Street with Eustace Loon going into the pit another time there. So that's 9 pit stops. I'm wondering if he's going to get the 10, to be honest. And what has happened to Kieran Sharp, actually? He's now having to fight it out with Jens Kaiser. Jens Kaiser's absolutely mugged him. So Kieran Sharp, who was looking to try and take that place from Christie and Plas, has now lost it out completely. And Jens Kaiser has said, thank you very much, I'll take that one. And left Kieran Sharp for feeling a little bit sorry for himself right now. So the battle of the BMWs rages on. Maximilian Walmuth doesn't care because he's about a second ahead of Florian Durkop, who's left to his own devices here. I can't see that gap closing up in the next 3 laps or so. Meanwhile, Christie and Plas, Jens Kaiser and Kieran Sharp, I get the feeling that this is going to end up with at least 15x of penalty points between these 3 cars.
Yeah, for sure. And you think, you know, they're coming back onto the back straight now on the oval, and I think there's going to be a position change maybe here. We may see Sharp getting that position ahead, but they're closing back up again on Plas, both of them. This is very much a 3-car battle, and I think that's maybe, we didn't quite see it, but that's maybe what caused Sharp to lose the position. Maybe it was an overtake gone wrong, maybe he just braked too deep, trying too hard, but he definitely lost, and he's losing out on a bit of speed there. I wonder if he's got a bit of damage or something, David, because he's definitely was losing out on the speed, and made a big mistake there, just looked like a bit of a mistake, and ran a little bit deep into that chicane, but he's back onto the back end of the BMW now, and closing up as they come into the infield, but he definitely lost out on top speed.
Certainly did. So the dreams sort of drifting away from Kieran Sharp as we've got just over 2 laps left to go. Make that 3 laps left to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Maximilian Walmuth now 1.5 seconds ahead of Florian Durkop there. We see Just Loon losing out that position to Gergely Kunsapo after his 9th pit stop, and that car going backwards at the rate of knots right now, as we see Christie and Plas now having a fight on hold on to that position from Jens Kaiser. I wonder if Kieran Sharp's actually just letting this go, watching what's happening in front of him and thinking, yeah, I don't really want any place of that, because here comes Jens Kaiser trying to fire it up the inside of the chicane there, thinks better of it thankfully, and decides to wait for the opportunity to present itself, which hasn't done just yet. But we've got 2.5 laps left to go here, and that poor Ferrari looks like it's going to be getting devoured quite shortly from these 2 BMWs. Fastest lap of the race for Alexander Posma in terms of a personal best, but wow, an amazing lap there. The fastest lap of the race so far actually has been I think it's a 1:10.73, so that is just a stone's throw away from that for Alexander Posma. Have a look at that, as side by side into 6 and then into 7, bit of contact with the BMW onto the Ferrari of Christie and Plas. Saw that one coming a mile off, and well, that's a little bit unfortunate. Kieran Sharp is now got his podium again, so Kieran Sharp now 4.5 seconds off into the lead. Surely now it's going to be Walmuth in taking the race win here, Steve. Florian Durkop in seconds, and Kieran Sharp surely has to be secure in that 3rd place.
Yeah, and when you were just saying there that Kieran Sharp was sitting back and letting these guys go, I was going to say that's a dangerous thing to do at so late in the race, because if they don't make a mistake and you've not challenged them, then you know you've not raced them, and you know it was the right thing to do. The contact came and he got those 2 positions very, very easily. Didn't have to do anything apart from just drive a little bit slower through the corner to avoid them, and he's got onto that podium, and like you say, he's a good few seconds up the road. But the man who's out in front, Maximilian Walmuth, now really he's not pulled the gap we thought he may. The Lamborghini in 2nd place has managed to pretty much hang on to him, and Kieran Sharp is obviously 16 seconds further down the road in that final podium spot at the moment. So been a good race this evening so far. It's been fantastic to watch. We've had the safety cars that have brought the field back together and worked a treat to present some fantastic racing for us all, and we've seen a fair share of incidents as well, and quite a few cars on the roof, it has to be said.
Yeah, the insurance companies for sure, Steve, are going to be very, very busy tonight. We see a Merc moving very slowly. That is Just Loon, who's got the leaders in front of him. But there is the beloved sight of Barney the Flagman waving the white flag here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Maximilian Walmuth on his glory lap here, just about 2 miles left to go in the 2 miles left to go in this one, as we see Oscar Saristo, who has been at the tail end of many dramas tonight here. Thankfully, not much more than a little off-track excursion, and that's a little bit scary. That is Jusloon just getting involved, and there's the contact from earlier on from Jens Kaiser on the back end of Christie and Plas there, as Maximilian Walmuth gets past, thankfully, Jusloon to get back onto the oval then. 2 chicanes left to go. It's been a great performance from Maximilian Walmuth, though. That gap is closing to Florian Durkop, but not enough here, and it's been a great performance from Maximilian Walmuth. He's holding on and he's doing a cracking job, but hang on a minute. Florian Durkop is taking 0.4 of a second out of this final sector of the race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it's going to be a win for Maximilian Walmuth. Florian Durkop in second position. It's going to be Kieran Sharp taking third position. And I'm having a look here. Jens Kaiser, I believe, has run out of fuel on the last lap of the race. That is going to hand. He's keeping on going, but yeah, that car is coasting. Yeah, so he is definitely lifting, coasting. Alexander Posma, I think, is going to take 5th position here from Jens Kaiser. If he's not careful, he might win to get it. Jens Kaiser takes 5th position, only just from Alexander Posma. Oscar Saristo in 7th. 8th place for Gergely Kunsalo. Jusloon finishes the lap down in 9th position. Lance Taylor in 10th position. Those are the cars that finished the race. We say goodbye to Robert Jan de Jong, Maciej Hyla, Raitis Balba, Michael Hamlet, Ian Harvey, Sebastian Posma and Matthew Davis. Well, Steve, that was a bit nuts.
Yeah, that's one way to summarise. It was interesting, it was nuts, it was action-packed at times. There were some points where it looked like it was getting a little bit spread out, and we weren't quite seeing the battles maybe we wanted to, but then the full course yellows came into play, and the racing was, dare we say it, manipulated.
No, Michael, no, this is so not fair. That is a meme that will never stop getting old, will it? It's especially since we do have a race control by the name of Michael Hamlet, who absolutely did not hit yellow buttons like they were candy, because he took himself out of the race. So there we go, Florian Durkop then in second position there, but I mean, a brilliant win again. I mean, that's 2 GT3 wins for Maximilian Walmuth, Steve, and again, a great chance to sort of let the hair down for a lot of these drivers, and a decent way to have some fun.
Yeah, for sure. And like we said, it's the track car combo doesn't really matter. It's good to try different tracks, an opportunity for drivers entering to maybe try different cars. Some of them maybe, I'm not familiar with a lot of the drivers, so maybe some of them were driving different machinery to what they would normally pick, just to give it a try. But that's the idea of fun races, isn't it? Just get out there, have a bit of a laugh, drive something different, and on maybe a different track that doesn't quite suit the car, and just see how you get on. But yeah, there was some good racing, there was some really good overtakes from some of the drivers, there was some questionable moves, and there was some arguments with the curbs, but it was good racing, and I think really the viewers won out on that one, because it was some fantastic action.
It absolutely was. All that remains to say then is a huge thank you to all of you at home who enjoyed that wonderful race tonight. Huge thank you to our production team behind the scenes of Mike Yao and our race director Michael Hamlet, to my co-commentator stepping in like a super sub at the last minute, Steve Proudley. What a lad you have been tonight. Thank you very much for your company, and that's it for tonight. We will see you at the same time next week for another fun event here at Coach Dave Academy on the SimGrid. Head over to the Coach Dave Academy the Discord channel, and you can get yourself signed up for next week's iRacing event. CoachDaveAcademy.com, click the Discord button at the bottom and you can jump into the server and get yourself signed up. From myself though, and Steve Proudley, and everyone here at SimGrid, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week.